It's the dead of winter in the Bering Sea. The Alaskan Monarch, a 96-foot crabber, is trapped in an ice pack off St. Paul Island. Loaded with 100,000 pounds of crab, headed into port to offload its fresh catch. The Monarch is being pushed closer and closer towards the rocky shoreline. With a damaged propulsion system, the Monarch is unable to maneuver, helpless as it's battered by 10 to 15-foot icy waves. The Cutter Storis, the only Coast Guard vessel stationed in Alaska that's capable of penetrating the heavy ice, is already on scene. The Storis plan, save the people by saving the boat. Get a tow line onto the bow and tow the Monarch out of the ice. Unfortunately, the Storis, while ice-capable, cannot get close enough to pass a line easily. The Monarch is well into shallow water, and if the Storis gets too close, it too will be in danger. The crew of the Storis attempts to shoot a messenger line across Monarch's bow 150 feet away. If their efforts are successful, they will pass increasingly larger lines until the tow line is passed. Despite several attempts, they have yet to get a line to the ship intact. A Coast Guard H-3 helicopter from Air Station Kodiak, 500 miles away, arrives on scene, but because of the long flight is already low on fuel. Complicating the situation, the Monarch is drifting closer into shore, positioning it even further from the Storis and putting the crew in even greater peril. A decision is made to use the helicopter to hoist the Monarch crewmen to safety.
We had one suit wash overboard, so we're going to have one fellow that doesn't have a survival suit. He's saying it's for different person, over. Roger. We're coming in for a pitch now, skipper.
The Coast Guard, in communication with the ship's master, learns that one crewman does not have a survival suit. It had already been washed overboard. It's determined that he will be the first to be hoisted. The hoist is executed without incident, and the next 3 hoists are also successful. Four of the 6 Monarch crewmen are now safely on board the Coast Guard helicopter. But time has run out. The Monarch is hard aground and breaking apart. As the master and chief engineer start across the deck, the captain slips, falling to his hands and knees. The engineer stops to help him just as a large wave breaks across the ship's beam, sweeping them both into the freezing water. Time is now critical. The crewmen can now be crushed by blocks of ice or trapped by the Monarch itself as it continues to be pummeled by waves and ice. The helo crew must act quickly. The flight mechanic lowers the basket again, hoping against hope that the fishermen can climb in. Miraculously, the chief engineer, anxious to escape the freezing waters, gathers strength and pulls himself into the basket. Once he has been hoisted, the basket is lowered again. But the captain is trapped. A block of ice sits on top of his chest. He cannot get into the basket. The helicopter inches forward until finally the captain can free himself from the ice and climb into the basket. Minutes later, the helicopter and 6 Monarch crewmen are en route to the clinic on St. Paul Island. Although the captain and chief engineer are both suffering from hypothermia, they will all recover completely and are thankful to be alive.